Hello and welcome to our weekly IG Live. This is our new series where we are talking to our member experts and they are talking about all kinds of topics. So you can let us know in the comments what kinds of things you'd like to hear about. But one of the things that you told us you wanted to hear about was about self-care for moms. And we have someone on here to talk to. So there's a big time difference. I'm in California, so it's still morning here, but it is evening there. So thank you for making it work with the time difference and still getting on
Hi
here. How are
everyone, good
you?
morning. I'm good, and yeah, thanks for asking and thanks for welcoming me.
Yes, I'm so glad to have you on here because we've worked together before through Multicultural Kid Blogs, but we've never actually
Exactly.
talked other than today.
Yeah,
So this is really
indeed,
fun
yeah.
for me.
Busy schedule and then the time difference. Yep. So it's really nice to be able to to become a part of this virtual network and to be able to collaborate with moms like me who are also very passionate to be able to contribute to our community, share our practices in making our family domestic life better, and at the same time taking care of ourselves and our needs as mothers, as women. Yeah. So it's very nice to have this community. Mm-hmm.
Yes, well, we're glad to have you a part of this community. And for those who don't know, if you go to our blog, you can go to the link in our bio and you look, and Isay has contributed a number of really wonderful articles to the blog, including just last week, she wrote one about fostering a multicultural mindset and her family. But so why don't we go ahead and jump in? You can introduce yourself and your blog, and then we can talk about self-care. Sure, yeah. And what does that mean to you?
Yeah, as mentioned, I am Isay, and I've been living here in Madrid, Spain for the last time, I think 13 or 14 years, but I am originally from Manila, Philippines. It's one of the countries in the southeast part of Asia. So I grew up in Manila, and I am the only one in a big family. I came from a big family. We are six children, but I'm the only one living abroad, living outside my home country. But I continue to keep very close ties and communication with my parents and with my siblings. So here in Spain, I am able to establish my family here. I got married with the love of my life. We got married in the Philippines, and he's Spanish, and we used to be workmates. And we are blessed to have a 12-year-old boy. And in the course of my motherhood journey, from being a first-time mom, from being a first-time mom in a different culture, and the upbringing was very different. There were some gaps, let's say, in the tradition, in the mindset. So those factored in helping me build my online blog, which is basically a documentation of my journey as a mom, as a working mom, because on the side I am also blessed to have a corporate job. So my daytime job is that I work as an experienced program management in one of the international banks here in Europe. So I manage the delivery of programs related to payments, credit cards, and regulatory initiatives within the bank. So in the course of establishing my career, learning a third language.
Oh, I think we froze there for just a minute. Sorry.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh, I think you're up there for a minute. But you were talking about in the course of, you have your work, you have your home life, you're living in a new country, and kind of learning how to take care of yourself at the same time. If you're just joining us, this is Isay Cabugon, and she is joining us from Connection.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
there you are.
In the course of experiencing these many different facets of being a mom and being a woman, I started documenting my blog. It's Isay Mudra on the go at that blogspot.com. I think sometime 2017. And my intention is that basically just to first it was initially meant for me to be able to as I grow older, when I look back, and then I am able to compare where I was a year ago and how I was able to evolve and transform my previous situation, because it was not easy. I mean, I think we all know, we all face the different we all face some similar struggles as a working mom, as a mom per se, that we wanted to keep our house clean, neat, and orderly. We wanted to make sure that the needs of our kids are primordial, that are properly attended to, but at the same time, what happens to our needs as a person? Because at the end of the day, we are still functioning individuals. So in my blog, I make sure that I tackle about it came something that was so unexpected because I didn't grow up with I never grew up with that kind of a mindset about anxiety and depression. And then when in the course of adapting here, it just, there are just so many things that are happening, and it's normal to feel burnt out. So in my blog, I am also able to share tools and techniques on how can we confront and make sure that we don't reach the point that we are burnt out. We don't wait for us to be burnt out. That's why it's very important for us to take care of our needs as a person, as a woman, to make sure that, because charity begins at home, at the end of the day, we are able to give back to our family and to our community if our needs first are properly addressed. Not being selfish, it's making sure that we are equipped to be able to give back to our family and to our community. So that's basically what I've been doing for the last how do I say, the last decade here in my life. Apart from building my family and my life here in Spain, I'm also about documenting what my journey in order to overcome my anxiety, and at the same time helping other people build the tools necessary, because anxiety nowadays is just it's a normal disorder, but there seems to be like a taboo that we can't talk about it. And there's nothing wrong, because we all at one point or another feel the stress. We feel that there are just so many things happening, but what's important is that we all prioritize, and that there is always a silver lining at the end of the tunnel, and we'll be able to get by. Yeah.
Well, I think that's such an important point. Like you said, one is that we need to normalize talking about it more. Like you said, all of us feel this way, but sometimes I think
Yeah.
we think it's just us until we hear other. The more that we're all talking about it, then, and I think that just adds to the anxiety. You think, what's wrong with me that I can't handle this? Why am I the only one that everyone else seems to have it together and I can't figure it out? So if we know everybody else is dealing with that too, that helps a lot. But also, like you said, I think a lot of times, as I do feel like it's women especially. I mean, I know fathers go through this also, but I feel like moms especially feel so guilty taking time for ourselves, but like you said, that means that we're better equipped to give back. Plus, I feel like when we model that for our kids, we're how to take care of themselves, because we're showing them this is what a healthy adult looks like. Because that really helped me a lot when I realized that, because I thought, I don't want my kids to grow up and feel like they have to do everything and they're going to burn themselves out. I need to show them, not just tell them that, but I need to show them what that looks like, so they can kind of follow that model.
Indeed, because there was a turning point in my life, because I was already going through my anxiety at that time. So I was going through the doctor, and my son knows about it. But the turning point was that when we were walking outside, it was just the two of us. It was a daytime walk, and then all of a sudden I cried in the middle of the street, because I just got so nervous seeing so many people, which is very common because it's a Saturday morning. We were supposed to go on a picnic, my son and I, but in the end, we had to go home because he saw me break down. And at that point, I realized that there's nothing wrong with it, because it's typical, it's normal. The important thing is that I let my son see that I am able to overcome it, that it's normal that as people, we have our ups and downs. But what's important is that we are able to overcome the situation. It's not the end of the world just because you saw mom crying in the middle of the street, because I got so nervous being surrounded by many people that I do not know. So we went home, and then I composed myself. And then it's also telling him how to handle the situation, because right now my son is already in middle school. He's 12 years old. And I don't know about it, but here in Spain, there is really a jump from elementary or primary school to the requirements of middle school, and there is a lot of homework and a lot of exams. It's exams after exams. So my cue to him, or my word of wisdom for him, is that to prioritize. Grades are important, but it's not the end all. If you don't get a very high grade for one quiz, it doesn't matter, because what's important is that the holistic view of the subject matter. Your attendance, your recitation, your good attitude, your presentation, when you do your homework, your participation in the class. So there is always a silver lining, and there is always a package for us to be able to assess the situation. So those are very important. And also I am sharing my son how to do some little breathing exercises when he gets very cramped, because he understands that he has to do swimming, he has to do his extracurricular, and then he has to do his homework. When he gets home, breathe, because when you breathe really profoundly and then you close your here and I am doing this, it's like being at the present moment, because otherwise you can't be brushing your teeth and then thinking that you have to finish your homework. No, you're brushing your teeth and you're doing that. It's a skill, because it's not that easy. It's a skill, but that's why it's very important that we do it and we practice it for us to develop that habit. So that's very important, because again, it's not bad to feel this way, because everybody's going through it. I mean, to a certain extent, we all have different coping mechanisms, okay? But it doesn't mean that just because somebody is not going through a same difficult time as I'm going through, it makes me less as a person. Definitely not. It's more of understanding what are our best coping mechanisms for us to better confront the situation and turn it around, so that it can work for our benefit. Mm-hmm. So some other activities that would help is that I do a lot of meditation. Like in the morning, when I wake up, I dedicate like 5 minutes also in my time in order to be able to do planking. And then I start with, I do and I practice a lot of gratitude, because that helps you to have a very positive mindset. Because whether we admit it or not, the world is already there's a lot of negativity coming in our world, especially with the massive use of social media. So what we need to make sure is that we find and we search for the goodness and the positivity that lies in our world. So I practice a lot of gratitude, and I also share that a lot with my son, because it's very important that we see the beauty in the world, despite all the negatives that are happening, which we cannot control. But again, what we can control is something that we can change. It's our level of influence. And then another activity is that of course yoga is good. If you can do if there is yoga or any physical activity that is yours. We love our sons, we love our family, we love being with them, but it's not bad that on one weekend, 2 hours or 1 hour in a weekend, you just go out and be on your own, walk to the park, go to the gym, cook anything that you like, or do running. It's something that will help you improve your quality of life, because again, charity begins at home. So it's something that you need to propagate in order for you to be better equipped, so that you will be able to handle the daily stress that you feel on a daily in your daily life. Mm-hmm. And for us, because we are married couples with our partners, it's also important that we walk through our partners with what our feelings. Because right now, thankfully, what we are feeling, or what we are going through, because thankfully right now, the world has evolved. Many of us parents are already working, so it's but normal that because we are working, it's normal that we also share the load in our household. So my husband, from time to time, I would request assistance from him to help me organize the house, to do the groceries, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make me less of a super mom or a super woman, because just for one afternoon I needed my husband to do the groceries for me. It's what you call delegating, and it's what you call sharing in the household work. It's typical nowadays. So those are some of the things that are very important for us to be able to take care of ourselves, because nowadays, even it's cliche. It's cliche to say that you have to stop and smell the flowers, because right now we're very busy. Nobody stops to literally look up and smell the flowers or just feel your surroundings. It's very important to be in the moment, to be at the present moment, and just believe that you can manage it, and that you will be able to get by. Yeah. So I hope you will find those some tips really useful, because how do I say it? There is nothing really grand about it. It's really going back to the basics, because sometimes in the course of wanting to give the best for others, for our family, for our workmates, for the society, we sometimes have the tendency to negate what we need as individuals. And again, it's not being selfish. There are weekends that I would like to go out on a massage, and I do it because afterwards I feel so rejuvenated, and I know that I can handle whatever tantrums my son can have when I get home. You know, so those things happen. Yeah. So it's not being selfish. It's finding the right balance for us to be able to grow also and be at peace as individuals. Mm-hmm.
And something I love that what you said is that it doesn't have to be big things. You know, it doesn't, like you said, it could just be taking an hour for yourself on the weekend, going getting a massage. And even I noticed you said that you meditate for 5 minutes in the morning. 5 minutes, I can do that. Because I think sometimes when we talk about doing meditation or yoga, people think, oh, I just don't have time for that. I don't, you know, I'm too busy. But if you say 5 minutes, well, I can do 5 minutes. You know, we say they think it might be like taking a class 5 times a week, and no, it could just be doing something really simple, 5-minute, 10-minute routine. You know, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be anything grand. And actually, as you say it, I mean, it's pretty simple but very profound things of ways to just kind of like you said, you know, in the age of social media, I feel like we live in such a noisy world where there's so much going on. You know, if you turn on the TV, like there's just everything is like boom, boom, boom. So like much like stimulation and noise and things that when you do those kinds of all the practices you mentioned, like you said, it's about being present and being mindful. Yep. If you're brushing your teeth, you're brushing your teeth. If you're meditating, you're not. Something that works for me is I have a list. I have a very, very long to-do list, but it helps me because I feel like otherwise I'm carrying, like if I'm brushing my teeth and I'm thinking something, okay, go write it down. I don't have to carry this in my head. And sometimes that helps me because otherwise I just keep thinking, oh, I need to remember that. I need to remember that. So I just write it all down. Exactly. And then get back and focus on
that is what we call a priority list because again, we only have 24 hours a day. In those 24 hours a day, maybe we are functioning, we are really functioning individuals, maybe like 16 hours, okay? 16 hours from the time we wake up to the time that we set we give dinner to the family, and the children are already asleep, okay? So we need to make sure that our priority list is realistic. So if I have 24 hours a day and I have 16 hours that I go function as a normal individual, I don't expect me to be able to fulfill my 50 things in my priority list. We have to be realistic as well. And again, so that's why it's called priorities, because it can't be everything that is priority one, because otherwise you don't have a priority. So on a day, this is also the thing that I learned from my psychologist, because I think we as individuals and as very busy people, we tend to really have a bucket list or a plan of what we need to where we need to go or what do we need to do. When my psychologist told me that because we tend to be very exhilarated as individuals, we tend to make sure that we have this desire to make things happen, which is good, but it must not take its toll on our mental health. So the best way is that you understand what you need to do, and then in the very short term, think of the immediate things that you need to do, which are scheduled for the next day. That's it. And then that way, you know that for the week, my son will have to go, for example, to his tennis class. I have a meeting at work related to metrics, for example, and then I have my medical appointment. But I know that for tomorrow, I will just focus on preparing my presentation for my upcoming meeting and cooking lunch for my family. So those are the major things that I have in my list. But I know that the day after tomorrow, I have something to look forward to. Okay, because it's also setting realistic expectations. And again, if we don't complete the priority list, it doesn't make us less of a super mom or a superhuman person. We are still kind, loving, and responsible being. It's just that sometimes, things happen along the way and we just have to reprioritize, and that's okay. That's okay. So I think we also have to be very charitable and very forgiving to ourselves as people, because sometimes I think it's normal also that we compare ourselves with other people, but again, we are very different, and there are very different resources in order to achieve the different objectives that we have on our lives, on our daily commitments. So it's very important to be realistic there. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I love that point about what self-care looks like for you or what your to-do list looks like is going to be very different from somebody else. Your priorities are maybe different And I think that's especially a good point for multicultural families, because a lot of times we're married to someone from a different culture, or like in your case, you're living in a different culture than what you grew up with. And so what our family prioritizes might be different than what our neighbors are prioritizing. And, you know, having to kind of figure out the expectations, and maybe might be something really different than what we grew up with or what somebody else in our neighborhood is doing. But like you said, you have to figure out what's best for you and for your family.
Best for you, yourself, and your family. Yeah, because again, we that is my nucleus as part of my society. I will continue to become a good member of the society, but first I need to build my family and myself. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So I guess that's it's going back to the basics, because these are the very things, these are the very principles that in our way of life we tend to overlook and we tend to forget, because we are just in the highway of life, which is good because we all want to be successful, but we also need to understand that success can be just looking at the trees, spending one afternoon there and being happy doing nothing. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we just need to set certain parameters in what or criteria in what makes me happy, and taking into account as well the importance of mental health, because I didn't believe it. I thought it was a myth until I lived it, until I experienced it, and it was really real. It is real, and even up to now, like I continue to take a medication, but I can say that with the grace of God and with the help that I've been receiving from my family and the society in general, the people I work with, my friends, I am getting by. So it's very important that there is recognition and that willingness to change and to adapt to your needs now, to your needs as a person, as a mother, because obviously our needs change when from being a daughter, a child, to being a friend, to being a student, to being a full-time employee, and now that I have a family, but I know that I love my job. I love my job. I am grateful for my job, but at the same time, I know that I am a mom and a wife first and foremost. I am a homemaker first and foremost. Yeah. So how do we strike the balance? Yeah.
Yeah, and I also love that what you really in the story is, one is that we need to be talking about this more and ask for help when we need it, because, you know, whether it's talking to your doctor, talking to your family,
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we're afraid to ask for help, either because, like we talked about before, sometimes there's a taboo about talking about mental health. Although I think that's becoming less so now than maybe it was in the past, but still sometimes people are you know, really little reluctant to talk about it, or even to ask for help for family. I found that sometimes when I ask for help for something like around the house or at work, a lot of times people really didn't realize it. To me, it seems obvious what needs to be done around the house, for example. And when I asked, and then people say, "Oh yeah, it didn't occur to them. It didn't think about it, you know, because it was my thing. It was something I was focused on, and maybe they didn't even realize." And usually they're happy to help. It was something that, you know, or at work, maybe somebody else is happy to take it on. Or sometimes we did find out that thing that I was stressing about and that project, I thought maybe it's not such a big priority, and we're not going to worry about it, or we're going to put it off, you know, until later when things are not as stressful. So I think just if we can get over that hurdle to ask for help, it makes such a big difference.
And then when we realize that when we trust the society, we trust the process, we realize that we are not alone, and that there is a lot of help. There is generosity of assistance, of support coming from everybody, coming from people who are very willing to help. And it's really a boost to our morale, to understand that there are so many ways that I can cope with it, and that there are many people who can share, who are willing to share with me their techniques, their coping mechanisms, and that I know that if they did it, then I can also do it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think the pandemic in some ways, maybe a silver lining of it is that I think people are talking about mental health, because it was such it was like a mental health crisis when we were going through the pandemic, that finally people were really talking about it more. And like you said, there are so many resources available. Of course, we're going to have people who are watching from different countries, so you really need to make yourself aware of what the resources are where you are, or reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, because there are so many
Exactly, yeah.
resources available now.
And it always pays to talk to your immediate family, to your partners, and then to your closest friends, because it all starts, you know, with maybe symptoms that you think that are probably isolated, that you are the only one going through. But when you start probably divulging it or sharing it with somebody close to you in your circle, and then you realize that there are certain patterns that are normal, and then you will be able to start spilling it out, and then understanding that what are the normal activities that you can go together, that you can do together as a team or as a person, so that you can start refocusing and rediverting your energy. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I just noticed the time, and I want to be respectful of your time, especially. I know it's getting late there, but I really appreciate you taking the time to come and talk with us. You have such great tips. If you haven't checked out Isay's blog, you really should go do that and read the articles she's written for us, read the articles up on her blog. Thank you so much for
And
taking
thank
the
you
time
so
to
much,
join
and
us.
I wish you all a good day and a great start of the week. Take care, everybody, and let's be in touch. Thank you.